Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Here we are again with another topic. Lots more questions. I hope in the week since I did this, you've all been busy, doing good things, enjoying yourselves, having a great time. The topic today. Oh, I've forgotten to say who I am. And I hope you know who I am. So I'm Rosemary Altea. I'm a spiritual medium and a healer and have been doing this stuff for far more years than I care to remember. So our topic today is destiny versus free will. Is everything preordained or do we have choices? Oh, we've had some great questions this week. We've had lots and lots of questions. So we're going to try to answer some this morning. I have with me here, as usual, my assistant Carolyn. She's going to read out the questions for you and then we'll take it from there. So because we have lots of questions and only limited time, I think we're going to go right into them today. So if you see me looking to that way there, you'll know that I'm referring to Carolyn, and so because that's where she's sitting, right next to me. So Carolyn, can you give us please your first question?
Linda from New York says, "Hi Rosemary, is our passing preordained?"
Hi Linda from New York. Well, there is a belief, and I tend to go along with this myself from the experience that I've had. There is a belief that let's put it this way, each of us has a book, and in that book is recorded our birth here to this earth, also recorded are certain events and certain let's say inevitables, and yes, I believe that our passing, our death is also recorded, that moment when we leave this earth plane and continue on, because we use the term death knowing that we don't really believe in the fact that there is death, that we do continue on. So yes, I do think, and my experience of as a healer, I've been a spiritual healer for more than 30 years and I have had to visit so many hospitals and so many hospices. I've had a lot of experiences, my team and I have had a lot of experiences with people who are sick, and it's amazing to me how sometimes somebody is so very, very sick, it seems to be inevitable that they are, going to only have 2 or 3 months to live, and then miraculously they survive. And at the other spectrum, the other end of the spectrum, there are people who, they're not so sick, and yet, or even many people who aren't sick at all, and they collapse and die without warning whatsoever. So yes, I do believe that there is a time for us to die, and I also believe that we cannot go before our time. No matter what happens to us, our time is written, and I would say that that is one of the inevitables. Next question.
We had Brenda and Linda, different Linda, both asked this question. Can prayer change your destiny?
Do we know where they're from?
No.
Okay, so Brenda and Linda. Can prayer change our destiny? The power of prayer is the most amazing thing. The power of the mind is the most amazing thing. And we're going to have a discussion at some point in the future about the power of the mind and how the power of our mind can affect us and can change many, many, many things. I think the power of prayer can change certain things. I think that it can give us strength and give us hope. I think there are certain times when it possibly can change what we might call as destiny, but is it destiny that we are going to pray and therefore change a possible outcome? It's which comes first? It's like a bit like the chicken or the egg. Which comes first, the destiny or the prayer or the change? Is it preordained that we pray and therefore can change what we think is an inevitable situation? So I think that we should always believe in the power of prayer, and I think that we should always practice the power of prayer, because what we see as something that is an inevitability, I think through the power of prayer we can actually, yes, change some things. Not all things, but some things, yes.
Great. Dear Rosemary, I have a question for you.
Thank you for writing, dear Rosemary. That's so sweet of you. Whoever you are, we're going to find out, yes?
Do people who treat others with kindness, love, honesty, and so forth in this life have a higher position or revered more in the next life? Thank you, Terry in Belton, South Carolina.
Hello, Terry in South Carolina. Wow. If we're good, do we get rewarded? I think that's the question. I think that's the question you're asking. And then that begs the question of rewarded by whom? Are you asking, are we rewarded by God? Are we rewarded by our angels for being nicer people? Not quite sure it works that way. I'm not sure that we get brownie points for being good. What I think, though, happens, so if I can explain, when we make that journey, we leave this world of ours, we leave this body, and we travel across to, you can call it heaven or whatever it is you want to call it. When we cross that void which separates these two worlds, and many people think that we therefore then we are going to stand in front of God and be judged. I think what happens, and this is again only my own experience, I can only answer your questions from my own experience, but what I believe happens is that we go to that place of light, most of us, if we are, especially if we're good or even extra good, we go to that place of light and goodness and purity. And when we stand in that light, what happens is that we are shown ourselves, our true selves. You've heard people talk about your life flashes before you, and I think it's true that we see ourselves as we really are. There are no illusions left to us. We see all of the things that we have done and said through our life here. And we can see very much the people that we've hurt, even by, some sort of small inconsideration that we gave them. We can see the people who we hurt, and we can see the people who we helped. And inevitably, we're human, we're human beings, all of us. And there are going to be those people that we've hurt, and there are going to be those experiences that we didn't behave as we perhaps should have behaved. We're all human. We all have these faults. And I don't think we're going to be judged harshly for them, especially when I think good intention is the most important thing. And if you have good intentions, even if you hurt someone, if you have good intentions, or if you try to rectify that hurt, or you try to be a nicer person or work on being a nicer person, the reward comes not in getting brownie points or getting a higher place or going to a different hierarchy, a better or higher hierarchy in the spirit world. The reward comes because we see our soul, and we see our soul as it is. And if we're really, really lucky and we've worked hard on ourselves and we've been good people or nice people, we see a soul that is full of light, filled with joy, and filled with learning, because after all, that's why we're here. So I think the brownie points come in understanding and knowing how much, looking at our soul, knowing how much we have learned and taking that with us. I don't think, I might be wrong, I don't think we get punished by God for our deeds. I think when we see if we've done awful things, the punishment comes from what we see and the way we feel about ourselves, and that, I think, is punishment enough. And I think the reward is the same. We see who we've become, and hopefully we can be happy about who we've become, and then continue to strive to be better and to grow and to learn more as we go along. But that was a good question. Next question.
Sherilyn W. says, we recently, where do my husband and I need to live to move forward with our spirituality? We just recently sold our home in Stratford, Virginia, and are currently renting in the Shenandoah Valley. We are finding it difficult to locate a new home. So where do my husband and I need to live to move forward with our spirituality?
Okay, right. Well, Sherilyn?
Yeah.
Well, Sherilyn, thank you for writing in. I'm not going to tell you where you should or shouldn't move to. It's your choice after all. If you're looking to move to a place which is going to inspire you to be more spiritual, more spiritually aware, which is what the question seems to me to be about, all right, we can start off by saying there are so many places all over the world that inspire us to be more spiritual. One of my favorite places is Arizona, because you've got those fabulous mountains, and you've got, it's so majestic, it's so beautiful there. There are so many places in the world. Machu Picchu comes to mind. You can be inspired anywhere, though. You can live in a coal mine for most of your life, and in that dark, dank, miserable place, you can find the most incredible sense of spirituality. Spirituality isn't about being in a beautiful place. It isn't about, being in the perfect place. If you want to grow on a spiritual level, if you want to become a more spiritual person, then, the place you need to be is within you. The place you need to be is connecting with your soul. The place you need to be is right here. Destiny may determine, because we are after all talking about destiny may determine that you go to Arizona. Destiny may determine that your husband is a coal miner and spends most of his life in a coal mine. I lived close to the coal mines when I was in England for a time, and I have to tell you, there are some wonderful and beautiful spiritual people who come out of the coal mines. How they do it, I don't know, but I've heard people say that they were close to God in that dark, dank, and almost God-forsaken place. So spirituality, your growth of spirit, of your spiritual nature, and the growth of your soul does not depend on anything that is external. Although the external can influence us, it depends on the internal and what you're feeling internally. So you need to take a look at that. And I hope you find a good place to live pretty soon. Next question.
MJ writes, when I was a young girl, my grandmother came to me in spirit. I was not scared or frightened. She told me when I got older, I was going to have a lot of problems. She said she just wanted to let me know she would be there to help me. All I said was okay and went back to bed. When I ran back to the place, I saw her above the foyer door. She was gone. I wanted to ask her what kind of problems, and I have wondered about this ever since. Why was I destined to have problems, and how would she know?
Wow, what a great experience. I bet you're kicking yourself that you didn't... MJ, is it?
Yes.
I bet you're kicking yourself, MJ, that you didn't spend more time with your grandmother and have a chat to her. But how nice of her to come, how nice of her to be there for you. I think she came to reassure you that whatever problems you do have in the future, that she's going to be there with you and hopefully helping and guiding you. destiny often dictates that we have certain experiences that we have to go through, and some of those experiences can be really tough. Some things are destined and we cannot change them, we cannot get around them, we cannot move out of the way. Some things are inevitable. Sometimes a person we meet, it's inevitable that we're going to meet them. Sometimes it's a situation, or let's say it's a job offer. Those things can be inevitable. Destiny determines that we are going to have these experiences. What destiny does not do, and which is where we have our choice of free will, and which is where free will comes into play here, is what destiny does not do is destiny does not dictate necessarily the attitude that you have when dealing with the circumstances that you are faced with. I think your grandmother was coming to say to you, look, you're going to have a lot of problems and a lot of issues. And quite frankly, MJ, that applies to almost every person on this planet, because we do come here to learn and we do come here to grow. So we do inevitably face trials and tribulations, some of us more than others, some of us more difficult trials and tribulations than others. For instance, those people who have are dealing with the loss of a child. I cannot think of a worse trial than that for someone to go through. So all of us are destined to go through difficulties in life. And I think what your grandmother was saying to you is, look, this is what's going to happen. These things are going to happen to you, and it's going to be tough for you. It's inevitable, because you are human after all. You did choose to come here after all, and your soul chose to come here to learn and to grow. But how wonderful is it that, how did your grandmother know that you were going to have these trials and tribulations? Maybe she got a glimpse of your book. As I said earlier, we all have a book. Maybe she got a glimpse of your book. Maybe just being a wise person, she simply just knew that you were going to have these issues and problems. And I'm assuming she didn't detail them all for you. She simply said to you, you're going to have a lot of problems, a lot of issues, and so on. Maybe she just knew that, or glimpsed that, or, either being wise, she knew that it was going to happen, or that she got a glimpse of what was going to happen to you and saw some of the things that were going to happen to you in your future. And she was concerned for you. I think the bigger message here is not how did she know, but she's there for you and she's helping you no matter what you go through. She obviously is there and wants you to know that she cares enough for you and is trying her very best to protect you and to say it'll be okay. Because no matter what trials we go through, the bottom line is it's always going to be okay in the end. Next question.
Karen asks, if there's a destiny chosen prior to our incarnation, does free will work to pull us off as well as put us back on our course?
That's a good question. Free will. Ooh. Well, again, we come back to it dealing with the power of the mind. And who asked this question?
Karen.
Karen. So Karen, we come back to the issue of the power of the mind. You can have two people who are both in exactly the same situation, going through exactly the same thing. One has a negative attitude and the other has a positive attitude. The situation will remain the same, but the person with the negative attitude will make more of the issue and become more miserable and more unhappy with the situation, whereas the person with a positive attitude can literally turn things around and can make something good out of something bad. Because when something happens to you that isn't so good, there is always an upside, always. But if you don't have a good attitude, if you have a negative attitude, you are never going to see the good in that. Sometimes the good is simply that you're having to go through pain and heartache situation, but you come out of it becoming more empathetic, becoming more sympathetic, becoming a nicer and a better person, and becoming more sympathetic to other people who before you had your own painful experience, you didn't realize how bad it was for other people. So you become a more understanding person. These are the gifts that come from the pain that we have. But if you are a negative person, you're never going to see it. You're never going to see the upside, and you're going to remain in that, let's say, in that dark place or that unenlightened place. So does your free will determine? It determines a lot. The more I learn and the more I know about this subject, the more I realize, I hate to say this to you guys, but the more I realize that there are so many more things that are inevitable than we would like to think there are. There's so much more planned and determined about our lives than we might like to think about. And I struggle with this because I'm a person who I have a will, and I want my free will, and I want to be able to choose things for myself sometimes, whether I fail or succeed at something. But the more I realize that our free will is much more to do with our attitude, and having the right attitude and the more positive attitude can make a situation better, or it can make it worse. So I hope that answers your question. All right, do we have a next question?
We have one more question. All right, Joan N. from New Zealand wrote, can we liken destiny as a dog on a running wire, free to choose in a limited sphere only?
Joan from New Zealand. Can we liken destiny to a dog on a wire? That means sort of, what? That means it's limited, right? So like, would I liken destiny to a hamster on a wheel or something like that, going around and round and round, and we don't have choices? Goodness. In a way, we can say yes, destiny can restrict us. Our destiny can restrict us. If we go back to the analogy of the book, that we all have a book, and in that book is written the time of our birth, the time of our death, and certain, inevitables in between. We can say that yes, our life is limited because everything that we everything that we are and everything that we do is sort of written down in this. Either it's going to be a small volume because we have a short life, or it's going to be a larger volume because we have a long life. But yes, so if you look at it in that way, we can say yes, it's very limited. We are like a dog on a leash, and we're only allowed to go so far. However, okay, I prefer to think of it this way. Whether my book is going to be a large volume or a smaller volume, no matter how much longer I live this life on this earth, in my book, and this is about free will, this is about destiny versus free will. In my book, my destiny is written, but there are lots and lots and lots of blank pages in my book, which I can choose to fill up in whatever way I want. So I can write my story in this book, and I can fill in these blank pages. And yes, I am destined to meet whoever it is. I'm destined to have my child. It is written that I have my child. I'm destined to do that. Okay, I'm also destined, unfortunately, because my pregnancy was difficult. So I'm destined to have a 9-month bed rest with can't get up, can't move, barely can breathe, etc., from the doctor. So that's my destiny. Okay, in order to get this child, which is destined for me to have, I am also destined to lay in my bed for however long. However, when I'm laying in my bed, I can choose to be thoroughly miserable and moaning and complaining about my destiny and how the cards have been laid out for me. Or I can choose in that 9 months while I'm waiting for my bigger and further and more exciting destiny, my child, I can choose to use that time and be creative with that time and to become more enlightened with that time. And luckily, that's what I did. So even though my pregnancy was miserable, I had great fun because I had so much joy in knowing that I was carrying this miracle child. Now, let's take it a step further, all right? So I'm destined to have my child, my daughter. I'm also destined, in my book, I'm also destined to have my grandson. I know this for a fact because many, many, many years ago, I was told that I would have a grandson. And then further, 3 or 4 years before my daughter was pregnant and she was going through a very tough time, and she would say to me, you know, Mummy, are you sure? Because I would say to her, you're going to have a baby. It's written. It's your destiny. It's going to happen. And she would, are you sure? Are you sure? And every time she came up against a brick wall, every time it seemed as if it wasn't going to happen, I was determined that it was, because I had seen this child. I had seen him prior to his conception. I had seen him as a baby sitting on her knee. And when she said to me, well, am I going to have a boy or a girl finally getting pregnant? I knew it was a boy. I knew it was a boy, and I knew that he would look just like her because I had seen him. And I told this. And sure enough, when she was told the sex of the child, yes, I was right. You can argue and say 50-50. I had a 50-50 chance. But I saw this child, so I know that it was my destiny, as I know that when I'm talking to all of you, I know that in your book, each of you has a book, and I know that destiny is written for you. There are certain things that are going to happen to you, but your choices, and we do have choices, and I'm determined to have choices. Your choices are in your attitude. And so, that's something that you might want to think about, and that's something that you might want to try to understand. If something really bad happens to you, try, if you can, to look at the positive of it. What can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? Because I don't believe that God gives us these things to punish us. I think he gives us these things to help us to learn and to help us to grow. So destiny, the inevitable, is inevitable. The thing that is not inevitable is our attitude. Okay. Do we have any other questions here?
That was it for the questions, other than the drum roll, please, personal question. We had an email this morning, and her email.
So we do have another question then.
Well,
just not a question necessarily about destiny.
Exactly.
All right. Okay.
And you do receive hundreds of these letters every day. It's very similar to this. Felicia B. She recently lost her dad and then her son 3 years ago. The grief is absolutely paralyzing almost daily. Is there any way you can help me to find some kind of peace?
Felicia B. I think we're still on the subject of destiny, although Felicia B. Do we know where she lives, where she's from? Felicia, as I've just been saying, it is written, I believe it is written, our birth and also our passing, I believe, is written. And so it's a tough thing. But I believe that your son went when it was his time. And I can hear you screaming even now, well, why? Why did God choose to take him, and so on? And I deal so often with parents who have lost their children, and I think the worst loss to bear and the worst pain in the world, it has to be, not thank God I have not experienced it, but the worst pain in the world must be the loss of a child. Felicia, you're going to hate me for this, and if somebody said this to me, I'd want to probably punch them. So you have my permission to, punch me, not physically, but in any way you want. But you hear people say, give it time, give it time. And if somebody said that to me, I would be so angry, because well, who wants to give it time? But you're looking for peace, and you're looking for some sort of knowledge. I think that your son is okay. You're looking to know whether or not your father and your son are together. I know that is a fact. I know that when our children, no matter how young they are, how old they are, no matter, they go to the light and they go to God, and they're embraced by the light, and they are embraced by those of our families who have gone before us. Peace will come to you in time. But if anyone is saying to you, you'll get over it, I have to tell you that you never will. You cannot get over such a loss as this, but in time, given time, you will find a way to live with it. As with all of you out there who have lost a child or who have lost a young person in your family, it doesn't necessarily have to be your child, it can be your niece or your nephew or your grandchild. For all of you out there, what I can say to you is, try if you can, as hard as it is for you to do it, try if you can to glimpse the possibilities of what your children, grandchildren, Felicia, your son, what he might be doing now, where he might be, and what he might be experiencing. Because I think that he may well be experiencing some really good stuff, and he may be meeting some wonderful people. Death is not a punishment, although for those of us who are left behind, it seems as if we're being punished. Felicia, darling, and for all of you out there who are suffering such a loss, I can tell you absolutely that your children are safe. Felicia, I can tell you that your son is safe. I can tell you that he is probably despairing right now because you are. Again, and this is a way to help you to help your children, and for you, Felicia, to help your son and also your father. But I think if you persevere with this, it will help you to help yourself. If you can, and again, it's all down to attitude. You have a choice of your attitude, not necessarily your destiny, but your attitude. If you can find at least 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes in a day where you think of them and you smile, you find something in your life that you can smile about. Now, you might say to me, Felicia, there's nothing I can smile about, and I will say to you, I don't believe it. Go out into the garden and see the flowers blooming. Look at that one particular flower that is blooming perhaps just for you. It will give you a smile. You might not want to smile, but it will give you cause to smile. Everything is in your attitude now. And the more that you can build on looking at the good things in your life and understanding that your son is safe and that he's looking to you to find your life and to find things positive in your life, the more you can do that, the more you will help him, the more you will help your father. We have to try. Do you have a negative attitude or do you have a positive attitude? It's easy for me to sit here and say it because I'm not suffering the way you are. But I can tell you from my experience, those of us who are determined to have a positive attitude, no matter what, no matter how much it might kill us to do it, those of us who have a positive attitude survive and grow to have good lives so that our loved ones in the spirit world can be proud of us and we can overcome the pains and the traumas of what destiny determines for us. Do we have this drum roll thing now, right? We have this last, okay, give it to me, sock it to me.
The personal question.
Okay.
Do you feel as if you are
Do I feel?
Yes.
Do I, Rosemary, feel?
Rosemary, do you feel as if you are following your destiny?
Oh.
And is Great Eagle part of your destiny?
Yes and yes. I totally believe that I was meant to do what I'm doing. Totally believe it without a doubt. I've had a trillion doubts over the years. I've never ever had one doubt about God or the existence of God or the existence of the light and the existence of goodness. Never had a doubt about that. My trillions of doubts have been about my own self, whether I'm capable of this, whether I'm capable of doing this. But it was an inevitability that I did try to escape from time to time when I was younger. I did not want to be a spiritual medium and a healer, certainly not a healer. I hate going into hospitals and, well, not anymore so much, but I did used to at one time hate going into hospitals, hated being around sick people because I'd been very sick myself and didn't want to put myself through that. So when somebody says, well, that's your destiny, go to it, of course you might fight it, of course you might struggle against it, but when you finally accept your destiny, good things happen. And life explodes in ways that it really, really gives you learning, teaching, growth, all of the things that you wouldn't have if you were to struggle and to refuse to accept your destiny graciously. Grey Eagle has always been in my life. We have always been together prior to this earth. And once I'm gone, popped my clogs, as the Yorkshire people would say, once I've passed into the spirit world, Grey Eagle and I will be together again in a different way than we are today, and probably continuing to work and to grow. We shall follow our destiny, and we'll follow our destiny together. I hope you've enjoyed this little conversation that we've had. I hope that you've learned a little bit or become a little bit more enlightened. Again, thank you for all of your questions. There is one question that I would like to ask before we go, because we've been inundated with this question. Do I still do consultations? However you want to phrase it. Do I do, some people call them readings, some people call them, I don't know what they call them, but anyway. Do I still do private consultations? Yes, I do. We do them mostly on FaceTime or Skype, although I do have people sometimes come to the house, but it works very, very well on FaceTime and Skype. So yes, I do that. And I had a very interesting conversation with a lady yesterday. On FaceTime, I think she was. It was about her son, who she was worried about, his state of mind and his well-being. Consultations on Skype, on FaceTime work really, really well. If you want to know more about that, if you want to know more about books, the CDs that we have, the meditations, all of that stuff, you can go to www.rosemaryaltea.com and you can find that information, or you can write to us. The email is rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. FaceTime, Twitter. We'll see you next week.